Hey, everybody, welcome to today's episode. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how monk mode can actually triple your income. And I'm going to give you how I do monk mode. I've been doing this for 15 years, probably longer, to be honest. I have a monk spirit and I live a very monastic lifestyle. And I believe that's one of the main reasons that I've been able to be more or less financially free for the past 15 years. And so I'm going to give you just a way to implement this for yourself, make it your own. There's no right or wrong in this. And let's go ahead and just jump right into the premise. The premise is we live in an insane world. This world is crazy. This world is crazy town. And what's considered normal is just not normal. It's not normal. There's no such thing as normal straight up, but there is a way that our society has kind of set us up for nervous system dysregulation, distraction, and that holds us back in reaching our potentials as divine, eternal beings in this world. You are a divine and eternal being, and so am I, and so is every single person living on this planet. We are all these magnificent souls incarnated into these beautiful bodies. And we can lose touch with that because of the way that our modern day civilization is set up. So I would like to share with you just a quick bit about my history. For those of you who are new to my channel, there's actually a lot of new people here. I had struggled pretty much my entire life with clinical depression and anxiety. So the reason for that is because my childhood was very traumatic. And I promise this is going to relate. And this is definitely, at some point, we're going to come to an end point where this is going to help you to triple your income and you're going to get the monk mode unlocked in your life. But I have to explain to you why I come to this, because I'm not some masochist. I'm not sitting here whipping myself for arbitrarily for no reason. And I also am not about the hustle culture just for hustle culture. This isn't about that. This is about so much more. So in my childhood, I had a very traumatic childhood. And I am so grateful for the childhood I had. I'm also so grateful that I happened to have the best mother in the world. But all the other adults in my life were absolutely chaotic. And all the traumas that you could possibly experience as a child, I unfortunately had to go through those. And what that does to your brain chemistry is it bakes in this nervous system dysregulation. And so as I grew, I had this weird dichotomy that I was born aware. That's the best way that I can put it. And most of you guys watching my channel, most of you who watch this channel, you are also born aware. You happen to be aware. What I mean by that is just you have a connection with the part of you that isn't just your personality. And so we can also call that a highly sensitive person, a highly aware person, having that mix of being highly sensitive and having a traumatic childhood that set my brain chemistry up to be clinically depressed and anxious for my entire adult life. When I moved out and got my own place, I did what everyone else does, and I got a TV. And I watched plenty of TV when I was a kid, and I got a TV in my apartment. And I was very ambitious my whole life, yet I had a television in my home. And not only did I have a television in my home, I had a whole bunch of distractions. And I was going out with friends every so often. And I was, whatever. I was just living what is quote unquote a normal lifestyle. I wasn't so much into heavy drinking, but I was still going out feeling like I didn't want to miss out, wasting a lot of time living what most would consider a normal lifestyle. And so what was happening was in my early 20s, I began to traverse and tumble down into a more and more dysregulated nervous system state of worse and worse depression, worse and worse anxiety. All the while I'm studying self-development stuff and I'm trying to figure out how to get all this stuff working. And one winter day, I was in a very severe depressive episode. It was debilitating. During the winter, that can get really bad. And I found myself watching for who knows how many nights in a row, 6 Feet Under. And I was watching a lot of TV because in depression, those of you who might have some experience with depression, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to not do anything. You're in this limbo phase, and it's very uncomfortable. It's very painful. For whatever reason, I snapped out of it for a couple minutes where I realized I didn't realize how many days I'd done this, how many days I did this ritual. If it wasn't for my golden retriever at the time, I wouldn't have any reference point for even like day or night. It was bad. And I realized in that split moment, it was some grace from the divine beloved that came through and gave me a glimpse of sanity, where I realized I didn't want my life to be like this. And the gravity of that moment, I can't even explain to you. It was a turning point in my life. I've had about 4 of those, and I might talk about the other ones in future videos, in future episodes. But that one moment where I was rotting away on my couch and I realized it, like a lot of the times we realize that we have unpleasant habits and we kind of just lie to ourselves about them. But there was no escaping the quality of my life at that moment where I didn't realize how many days, it could have been literally 2 weeks. I don't know. It was just a blur. My life was passing me by in blurs of just rotting away in front of a TV, and it was making me sicker. And in that moment, I decided I'm going to get rid of this TV. There was a couple expletives in there, but I got so mad. I got so mad just at the situation, not at myself, but at the situation. And it became clear to me that I needed to take extreme action. Okay, so I got rid of my television the next day. That night, I got off the couch. I got on Craigslist. I said, free TV, come and get it, please. Somebody came the next day and got the TV. Where the TV was, I put a big chalkboard. Now, this was right in the beginning of my career. This was like kind of in the early days of doing YouTube. I was making some pretty decent money, but I was still kind of holding on to old habits and old ways of being. And all of this was kind of coming together in like a divinely guided fashion, where the depression was actually serving me in a way at that point, where the pain was actually leading me to situations where I had no choice except for to heal. And so I got rid of the TV. I put a chalkboard where the TV was, and I began writing every day something uplifting on the chalkboard. That was step 1. Step 2 is I started realizing and paying close attention to my day and realizing what I was doing with my time. So I started taking an inventory, and I'm going to offer you this quick exercise. This is going to catalyze your monk mode. This was life-changing for me. As you're listening, please grab a pen and a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle of your piece of paper. This is going to help you triple your income. I promise you. I want you on the left side of the paper to write down everything that is very important for you to achieve in the next 12 months. Just write all of it down. Pause the video and write it down. If you want to hit 6 figures or mid 6 figures, or if you want to triple your income, write that down. If you want to find a great partner who you respect and love, write that down. If you want to grow your YouTube channel or start a YouTube channel, write that down. Now, I want you on the right-hand side of that paper, on the right-hand side, I want you to, across from every single thing that you wrote today, just for today, or maybe even just for the last week, I want you to think about what activities have you done that match or that would enhance or that would bring you to that thing that you wrote. So if, for instance, if on the left-hand side you wrote, I want to triple my income in 2025, on the right-hand side, I want you to think about and write down everything that you've done that might get you closer to that goal. If you're anything like I was when I did this, you will be astounded by the fact that your life is not incongruent. It's incongruent. It's incongruent for a lot of people. What does this have to do with monk mode? So here's what happened for me. I can't remember which teacher had me do that exercise, but I do remember when I did it. It was right after I'd gotten rid of my TV, and I did that exercise. And I began to see that my life, the enormity of this hit me so hard. My life was not what I wanted it to be, and not in the way that we're thinking. Like when I say that, I know a lot of us, the ego takes a hold of the images of all the things we want to achieve. That's not what it was for me. What it was is the things that I was spending my time doing had nothing to do with what my heart wanted at all. And it was almost like my life flashed before my eyes in that moment. And I saw very clearly on this inventory that all the virtues I had, for instance, freedom is my number one priority. Freedom. Number two is contribution. Those two things I hold so dearly in my heart, and I have since I was like a very little child. And I took a look at my days, and I was thinking about all the hours I spent on the couch avoiding life, watching 6 Feet Under, and all the days that I wasted doing countless, spending time at the mall. This was when malls were still kind of a thing. And I didn't even really like being at the mall, but I was shopping. I was thinking about all the hours I'd spent just like going like this through racks of clothes, just like eating up hours of my life, just looking through racks of clothes at the mall. Or I could just go on and on about all the stuff that are normal, that most people in our society would consider normal, that I was doing all these normal things that didn't serve my soul, that didn't align, and my life was not congruent. And so I got really, really clear about what I wanted to do with my life. And this didn't mean that I was like arbitrarily picking like a career path or whatever, but I meant like in here, like in my heart, in my soul, how I wanted to feel in here. And this doesn't mean that I all of a sudden, like spoiler alert, it's not like all of a sudden a magic wand came into my life and everything was perfect. But that was when monk mode really was hatched for me. So it was like my early 20s. My early 20s was when I decided to hell with what's normal, to hell with what most people think is normal, to hell with what society would deem as normal, and also to hell with what's comfortable and what feels good to me. I'm going to go with what actually feels good, what actually soothes my nervous system, what actually honors my heart deep down. And it became so painful because of my clinical depression and anxiety. It became so painful when I would do things that made that worse, such as numb myself with scrolling, numb myself with drama, numb myself with alcohol. I didn't really drink all that much, but just any of the numbing agents just make the anxiety and depression that I used to experience far worse. And so I began taking note of where my heart was leading me. So here's where my heart led me. And these are some things that may or may not be helpful for you. What's really important, the key takeaway that I want you to start off with to build your own monk mode framework and tripling your income this year, is this isn't about income, and it's not, again, about hustle culture, and this is not about productivity. This is about honoring your life and really living a life that is congruent with your soul, that's congruent with the deep down part of yourself, and really knocking it out of the park. So that way, at the end of every day, we can, most days, not every day, but most days, we can look ourselves in the mirror and say, cool, I'm in charge here, not the ego. Like my high self is in charge here. That means I'm in alignment. This does not mean that we're trying to be perfect. This does not mean also this, like you'll notice that I'm not talking about isolation here. This is not arbitrary isolation. That's not what everybody needs. We don't need more isolation. I'm talking about honoring our soul. So that's what monk mode is for me. That's how I came to find monk mode. And so now at this point in my life, I live a very monastic lifestyle because it has yielded the most beautiful fruits for me. The minute that I started employing the things I'm going to share with you here, my income skyrocketed. And it's exponential. There's no cap to this because the way that monk mode works is it deepens your process. It deepens your attention. It deepens your consciousness. It deepens your skill sets. There's no limit to this. So the deeper you go into yourself, the more value you're able to give the world. And that's directly correlated with how much income you generate. It's not about income, but that is a reflection. It's a nice side effect. So I'm going to give you a couple just basic foundational monk mode tenets. Make it your own, make it your own, make it your own. So the number one tenet that I follow with monk mode is I'm very careful with these things, with these devices. Very careful. There are some periods where I'm scrolling, where I'm taking stuff in, where I'm consuming, where I could sit on the couch and, watch a couple hours of some stuff, but I'm very careful with it. And it's very strategic and it's very intentional. I don't want to give a sermon on social media. I really don't. But I just want you to think about it like icing on a cake. I had an uncle named Uncle Jimmy. Rest in peace, Uncle Jimmy. He was like the closest thing I had to a father. And Uncle Jimmy would go into the kitchen and he would open the frosting, the Betty Crocker frosting, and he would grab a spoon and he would scoop a spoon of frosting and he would eat it. For me, I don't know what it is, but that is kind of an encapsulation of how I experience and what my nervous system how my nervous system experiences social media. Too much TikTok, too much Instagram, too much any of it. For my system, it starts to treat me the same way as it would if I was going into the kitchen and taking a spoon and scooping up a bunch of icing and just eating it and just mainlining icing. So we have to just start thinking of it like that. Okay. And here's one tool that I would like to offer you. This is really helpful and it's called a Mindsight box. I'm not sponsored and I'm not affiliated, but I want you to consider getting one of these. This is, I think this is like $40 off of Amazon. It's called Mindsight. And what it is it's a lockbox that you put your phone in and you close it up and you set a timer here. When you set the timer, you can set it so that you can't open it no matter what. This is a really great tool for monk mode. And I actually use this every day around a certain time because here's the thing, everybody. Here's the thing, my friend. When we have these devices, even I'm so devoted, even when I'm using these devices, I have to be on these things for work. I have to be on these things to create Instagram posts. Even I am not impervious to the addictive quality of these things. And so I lock it up because my ego, the nature of the human mind, is just like with a child. If you give a child a cookie and you say, do you want another cookie? They're going to say yes until they throw up. It's not even a matter of strength. It's just a matter of the very nature of the mind is it's going to have you on this thing all day long. So I lock it up at a certain time at night. And what you'll notice is there's an immediate relief. Your nervous system thanks you. And there's a huge wash of calm and peace that will come over your body when you do that. And how is this going to triple your income? Well, when we're stepping away from the distractions of the mind and we get into our deep work, doing the 6-figure writing practice that I talked about in this video, and doing the unscripting method to create your YouTube videos that I talked about in this video, and actually taking time to give your brain a break, that's when we have these major creative breakthroughs. So on this channel, as you guys know, I'm helping you to get rich inside and out. And the way that we get both inner riches and outer riches is by connecting with our deep work in the world. Every single one of you listening to this, you have deep work in this world that is so important. And part of the process, it's baked into the cake, is your exploration of your ideas and your polishing up of your ideas and you're exploring your ideas. This is like splunking of the mind, and also letting go of the mind for a little while so that you have space, so that you have access to presence. The number 2 thing that I'd like to mention to you is I've got these earplugs here. So these are some really powerful earplugs. And as you can see, I'm running kind of low. My desk is full of earplugs. I've got earplugs all over my house. So I use earplugs as a way to go monk mode. I've got always notebooks around. I've got piles and piles of notebooks. I talked about my 6-figure writing practice in the video I just mentioned. And part of monk mode for me is the sensory deprivation in the morning, meaning I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to listen to noise. I don't even want to hear the sound of my own breath. I want to go inward. In the Vedic traditions, they call this pratyahara. My phone's in a lockbox. I've got the earplugs in. I got my notebook in front of me, and I'm writing down my morning pages. That's part of monk mode. It's purposeful. Again, we're not talking about isolation. We're not talking about arbitrary self-whipping. We're talking about an intentional, focused period of time where you're connecting with the divine beloved within. And the most sane part of the entire experience called life, the reality of the present moment. That's going to keep you not only sane, it's going to heal you. It's going to help you to connect with your deep work. So earplugs, Mindsight box. The number 3 tool I'm going to offer you is taking some time away, taking some time off the grid, taking some time to, again, this is not about isolation. This is about private time for yourself. I would also like to call this kind of like, think of it as dating yourself, taking your inner child out for a date, taking yourself out for a date, or just not doing anything. Just don't do anything. Don't do anything for a day. So what this looks like for me is I have a do not disturb day where I'm just putting DND on my phone. Do not disturb is on my phone. I'm not answering any calls. I'm not checking any emails. I'm not you can't get at me. There's nobody that's able to get at me on the monk mode days where I'm like all the way off, no contact days. And this is not about isolation. This is about enriching and connecting with myself. I also want to help you really quick to monk modify your house. So I'm just going to make some gentle suggestions. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But I really like having a secret, a special nook in my house. It's like my little Zen den. I don't have a dining table where a dining table normally would go. I just have a nice big empty space where I can meditate, I can do yoga, or I can just sit sometimes or lay down in Shavasana and just be quiet. Creating little touch points in your home that get you in touch with that gentle, calm, Zen-like situation. I know most of you guys pretty much get it at this point, but I just want to kind of tie all of this in for you. So this lifestyle that I teach about here on this channel of being a creator, of being somebody who teaches whatever it is your gift and talent is. I was a nutritionist and a personal trainer and then a meditation teacher and a spiritual teacher. And now I'm teaching about business and inner riches and outer riches. And this lifestyle and this kind of model, it requires nothing more than the total willingness to be generous. And you're giving your gifts and talents to the world. And when you do that, it is a guarantee that you will be compensated. That's the nature and the design of this whole experience. It's set up so perfectly. I'm encouraging you, if you're listening to this right now and you've had a feeling about anything that I've said, that you're like, I know I could scroll a little bit less. I know I could probably take some time away and unplug. I know I could probably spend a little bit more time in nature, maybe hiking or whatever it is. Spend some time in the morning writing your morning pages, doing the 6-figure writing practice. This is my invitation to you to go for it and start living as much from that deep down sane part of yourself, even more so than the other part. And the natural byproduct of this is creativity. You're going to be more productive. You're going to be more prolific. You're going to be more connected with your ideas. And most importantly, you're going to be able to execute these things with something called right action. Right action, everybody, is our ability to take right action. This is a Buddhist kind of precept, and it's all about taking the right action at the right time, being intuitively guided instinctively guided by our higher wisdom. If we're not quiet enough and we're not paying attention, we're not going to be able to get in touch with that right action. And so that's where the triple your income monk mode situation comes in. That's where it all comes together, is when you're giving yourself space to abide in the sane aspects of this experience called life. You're bringing sanity then to the world. And that's what the world needs. And if you haven't noticed, like people, we've got the teachers who are in touch with that. You can sense it. You can hear it when somebody's in touch with that sanity. And the world needs that right now. So if you have access to that sane part of the truth, the capital T truth, and you're able to bring that out into the world, whatever that means for you, I guarantee you will stand out. I guarantee that your people will find you, your message will get heard, it will break through the noise. And before I end today's episode, I just wanted to let you all know I do have a 5-day YouTube Breakthrough Challenge coming. So if you would like to not only start your monk mode situation, but you would also like to take a 5-day immersion with me, creating your deep work, starting your YouTube channel, and doing something every day to implement with your YouTube channel, I highly encourage you come and join me at brendaturner.com/YT. That 5-day YouTube challenge, all the details are going to be on the website for that. It's coming up here soon. If you missed it, if you're watching this video and it's past the scheduled date, don't worry about it. I'm sure I'm going to have one again in the future. I've been called to do this YouTube challenge. That there's something, it's just itching at me. And I've had so many people who have taken my courses and my programs just like asking for some more help. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to host a 5-day challenge. This is a really good way to make the most out of what I just said, all the monk mode stuff. It's really cool to have something to focus your energy into when you're doing something like a 5-day challenge, when you're doing your deep work in the world. You're more motivated to get into turning off the devices, getting focused, taking right action, living in integrity. So come and join me at brendaturner.com/YT. I'm really excited to meet you guys and hang out with you for 5 days as we create your beautiful YouTube channel in the YouTube Breakthrough. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'd love to hear in the comments if you want to share if you do monk mode, how do you do it? What do you do? If you are planning on implementing monk mode, please tell me which of these ideas kind of resonate for you. If you're going to kind of hack your own monk mode, please share that as well. It was so good hanging out with you today. Thanks so much for your time. Love you so much, and I'll see you in the next